Hello and welcome to the Future 15. I'm Jada Handy.
And I'm Elliot Amarasaria. TCU's campus is filled with students, but most of them aren't in college. Some are as young as first graders and are here for a number of summer camps happening right now. Emmy Barrett explains why these are important to the community.
The end of the school year usually means kids will be sitting at home glued to their screens. But these kids are at TCU's summer camps. They range in age from first grade to high school seniors. David Grebel is the Director of Extended Education at TCU and oversees the camps. He says demand for summer camps is high in the Fort Worth area.
We recognize, though, that there was a need for these types of camps for kids in the area, that they were underserved. Part of it grew out of recognizing that families are looking for something for the children to do.
I mean, I have to find something for 11 weeks of summer.
The idea is to help students become lifelong learners, even after the school year ends.
As people develop the habit, and I think the habit develops early in life, of learning in a variety of ways, in formal and informal ways, and our courses are considered informal, they'll keep that up later on. And they'll become responsible for directing their own education, which is what adult learners do.
The camps also help TCU establish a connection with the Fort Worth community.
Critical outcome for us is that we need, as a university, to engage with our community. Even if they never come here, the fact that they are positively inclined towards TCU is a good thing for us. And we think it's good for them as well.
So parents and kids, if you haven't gotten involved, Grebel says that it's not too late to take advantage of the camps.
They are still open, and it's not too late to register. Our last camp begins the week of July 31st, and some of the really fun stuff is coming up.
I'm Emmy Barrett with the Future 15.
Registration is still open. The camps run until August 9th. You can register at lifelong.tcu.edu/summer youth camps.
The Bob Schieffer College of Communication also held a summer camp, one for aspiring journalism students. Guest speakers from the news industry spoke to the students and offered advice about life in the newsroom. One of those speakers was local morning news anchor Deborah Ferguson. Our Cascada Hastings and Melissa Brandy got a chance to interview Ferguson about her career.
It's the year of the woman. If you're ever going to be, a woman in journalism, do it now.
Now a part of the NBC5 newsroom in Dallas-Fort Worth, Deborah Ferguson has made a name for herself in the news industry. But she started off just a young girl with a passion for journalism.
When I was growing up, I'm the oldest of 3 girls, so you know how your parents kind of have conversations. I would want to know what's happening and then go tell my sisters. I've just enjoyed being somebody who likes to know what's going on and then telling people about it.
Growing up, Ferguson only ever saw white men delivering the news, until one day she saw a woman of color on TV.
So I could not tell you one story this woman did, sitting there behind the anchor desk. But I know, watching her, she made me feel like I could do it too.
Yeah.
And if I can impart that to others, that's a win. That's a win.
Now, Deborah Ferguson delivers the news every weekday starting at 4:30 a.m. Her message to the journalism camp: anything is possible.
If you want this, there's a way to get this. And don't let whatever your past is or whatever your circumstances are keep you from getting to that next goal.
I'm Cascada Hastings for the Future 15.
Ferguson is a TCU alumna. In her free time, she volunteers at the Young Women's Leadership Academy. It's a public all-girls college prep school in Fort Worth that is dedicated to empowering the education of young girls. Coming up after the break, Josh Hawkins is going to talk about the perception of refugees on TCU's campus.
And Dorcas Basisi describes the obstacles minorities face in higher education. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Future 15. I'm Josh Hawkins.
And I'm Dorcas Basisi. Right now there are 3 million refugees in the United States. Some refugees believe they are viewed negatively. And as I find out, TCU students are advocating to change that perception.
A big part of the refugee community in Fort Worth lives here at the Ladera Palms Apartments. TCU students volunteer their time here. They work with the tenants and their children. They help navigate life in the U.S., help find services, resources, and help refugees feel more comfortable in their new homes. There are as many as 40 refugee students studying at TCU. John Singleton, TCU's Director of International Services, says refugees often face misconceptions like how refugees are defined. A refugee is a person with legal status in the U.S. and often fled a difficult life in their home country.
So we really push our students to flip that and instead, to do positive programming before any of that ever comes up. We see a lot of our students take U.S. students back home with them to see their countries, things like that, which I think are it's exactly what we dreamed of when we were bringing international students to our university.
Still, Singleton says more can be done. He says TCU does not have enough resources for refugees, but he tells me he's working on improving that. For the Future 15, Dorcas BCC.
Despite the positive perception on TCU's campus, refugees will have to continue with U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions' new policies toward the asylum process.
Minorities face big challenges when they go to college, but as Nate Guajardo found, they continue to succeed despite their obstacles. He has more on how.
Some say college should be the best time of your life, but for John Villalobos, it hasn't always been fun and easy.
I go in, I'm wearing a TCU shirt, and I'm coming out, but there's two TCU students who are just got done doing their service, getting their papers signed, just like me. And as I approached the front desk, the receptionist asked me, she's like, but she didn't ask this to the other kids who were white. She asked them, she asked me, she was like, is this court-ordered community service a faculty thing too? There's like racial sensitivity training that I've recently found out that a lot of faculty don't even go to, but definitely I think there's a divide there. But like I said, it's not something that can't be addressed, and it has been.
And he wasn't the only one who had to deal with negative distractions.
I have heard from several of my peers who are community scholars that they're assumed to be athletes just because they're here. I've had friends who have been told that they're here to meet a diversity quota.
John says his brothers in the fraternity keep each other focused and push out any stereotypes or negativity. Their GPA as an organization is at 3.6.
Freshman year was really hard. It was really hard for me to cope with the culture shock that I had. I was looking for that crutch, people to hold me accountable, that would push me to do better. And I've done a lot better ever since I've joined the fraternity. I mean, I've got some pretty cool jobs. I got some pretty cool internships. Organizations of color, we're actually there on the ground, like meeting these people, serving these people. And we actually, as a fraternity, collectively, we got the highest GPA throughout all organizations on campus. It's presumed that we won't attend college. It's presumed that we're supposed to drop out and have kids early. We wanted to challenge the status quo here.
Nate Guajardo for the Future 15.
In 2016, TCU founded the Comparative Race and Ethnic Studies program, or CREST, to help foster diversity on campus and address these issues. Stay tuned after the break where Nick Utzi looks at the discrepancy between men's and women's basketball coverage.
And his things tell us about the Future 15 sit-down with one of the NFL's top sports writers.
Welcome back. I'm Nick Utzi.
And I'm Cascada Hastings. In sports today, men get more media coverage than women. It's apparent in college basketball. In fact, in the 2018 NCAA tournaments, men got 72% of the coverage. Ashley Jones looked into the numbers and the impact it has on women's basketball.
March Madness is a time for college basketball players to shine, but women are missing out on the limelight. A new study from Think Progress tracked all of the 2018 March Madness coverage on ESPN. It found that 27 out of 57 shows that aired in 1 week did not mention women's college basketball, not once.
And there's coverage on it, but it's not as much as the NBA is, and there's just such a big difference.
Jordan Moore plays on TCU's basketball team. The Horned Frogs didn't make it to the tournament this year, but Moore says the media coverage is the same, no matter what tournament her team plays in. Women get less coverage than men.
Women have to work on fundamentals, skill, everything, all the work that goes into women's basketball players, they do it 10 times harder.
But the problem, in some cases, may not have anything to do with talent or hard work. Sometimes it's a matter of right.
Think Progress says CBS Sports own rights to the men's college basketball, but they do not own rights to the women's team.
Until there's a transition of power between networks, the coverage will remain the same. Ashley Jones, The Future 15.
While the attendance may not be equal, the skill is. The TCU women's basketball team just had their most successful season since joining the Big 12, and the men's team made the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1998.
Shireen Williams will make history this year. She'll be the first woman inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. She came to TCU to talk about her career and the obstacles she had to overcome. Here's Nate Wahardo and my sit-down with Williams. Shireen Williams says family inspired her to pursue a career in journalism and sports.
It was probably my mama, who was my mom's mom, and she was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and loved the Dallas Cowboys. And she lived in Hillsboro, which is not too far from here, not too far from Dallas. So we'd come up to games, and every Sunday we'd watch the games, and we'd talk after the games about what was going on and kind of dissect the game. And so she got me into football, really liking football. So she probably inspired me more than anybody else to do what I do.
As a woman in the sports industry, Williams says she's faced challenges throughout her career.
Some guys just, they don't want to dress to do interviews. Less and less of that now. But back in the day, there were some guys that just wanted to do their interviews in the nude to test you. And it was fine. I mean, you do it and you go on, and they're just testing you to see how you're going to handle it. You handle it well, you handle it like a pro, and you walk away. And
Shireen has a message for young aspiring female journalists.
I realized women didn't do this. It's just something that I wanted to do, and so you do it. If that's what you want to do, that's what you go do. You go live your dream. And so I didn't realize all the challenges there were and the hurdles to clear that it hadn't been done before. And so I hope it just provides women, if this is what they want to do, an opportunity to say, okay, it can be done. I can do this. If I'm good at it and it's what I want to do, I can go do it.
Williams says being a journalist has taught her a lot about herself.
2 people this week tell me how humble I was, and I appreciated that. And so I think that's a really good quality to have is humbleness. And I think I've probably kept that too. So that's probably taught me one thing, is how to be humble and do things the right way.
I'm Nick Utzi reporting for the Future 15. For more of Shireen, follow her Twitter at NFL and read her work at ProFootballTalk.com.
After the break, Nate and Ashley Jones will give an update about TCU's newest construction projects.
Stay with us.
Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Nate Waterman.
And I'm Ashley Jones. When students come back in the fall, they might want to pay attention to what's happening at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Work started on plant upgrades at the stadium. Cameron Hatcher has the new details on the progress.
Construction crews have already started tearing up the ground at the stadium. They plan on adding 2 levels to the eastern entrance. It's going to have 1,100 club seats, 22 luxury suites, and 48 loge boxes at the stadium. This is a rendering. You can see that there will be a VIP lobby, banquet section, club seating, and a suite section. Associate Athletic Director Ross Bailey explains why TCU needs all of that space.
We have gone through 6 seasons of playing in the stadium. Part of what has become apparent is that our fans, our patrons, have had a desire for a premium level experience. And so we were out of that space. We didn't have anything else to offer them.
And the new space won't just be for football fans. This is what the club level will look like. TCU can host events on the top floor that overlooks the entire campus. The total price tag for the project is $100 million. I'm Cameron Hatcher for the Future 15.
Construction on the stadium upgrades is set to be completed in 2019.
The stadium is not the only facility under construction. Construction crews are also building the new music school on TCU's campus. Melissa Brandy got the details on the works that's now underway.
Sound like this could be heard around TCU's campus. Workers started construction on the new music building and concert hall. The new building will be located behind the Robert Carr Chapel on the north side of campus at the intersection of Princeton Street and Green Avenue. I talked to Richard Gibson, the director for the School of Music. He says right now the department has too many students and not enough space for them.
Well, the music school has far outgrown its current facilities. We have a thriving program, but we're being limited significantly by our space. We're currently spread out in 7 different buildings on campus, and we're operating in an environment in which the space actually limits our ability to improve.
Gibson says one of the main features of the new building will be the concert hall.
It'll seat 700 people. It'll be designed specifically for music performance. It'll be acoustically perfect and will provide us an opportunity to have a signature building at TCU.
But the new building comes with a price. The concert hall will be where the old parking lot used to be, behind Robert Carr Chapel. Now, students will have to find somewhere else to park.
Its goal is to move parking to the perimeter of campus. So parking that's inside the boundaries of the current campus is rare. And that's what this project will ultimately end up with, is parking on the perimeters.
Gibson says the project will be well worth it in the end. The Commons will house the College of Music, as well as the Fashion Merchandising Department and the College of Communication. I'm Melissa Brandy from the Future 15.
The music building is expected to be finished in the next 2 years.
When we return, Mia Abbey and Ty Williams will discuss the growing representation in suicide in popular culture and its effect on teens today.
Be sure to stay tuned.
Good to see you again. I'm Ty Williams.
And I'm Mia Abbey. Netflix recently dropped season 2 of its hit show 13 Reasons Why, and it is sparking new conversation about teen suicide. The TV series centers around high school students struggling to cope with the death of a classmate who ended her life. The creators of the show say the goal is to help highlight real-life situations some teens go through. Critics, though, say the show romanticizes the issue of suicide. In fact, some psychologists worry it could lead to a growing number of teen suicides. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say in 2016, more than 6,000 people between the ages of 10 and 24 committed suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling or having thoughts of harming themselves, please call the number below.
New details today. The number of suicides for teens and young adults is on the rise. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, suicide has surpassed homicide to become the second leading cause of death for people ages 15 to 24. The risk increases if a teen or a young adult has a family history of mental illness. The CDC also says girls between 15 to 24 are more likely to consider suicide, but boys are more likely to follow through. When we come back, Ava Hepner will talk about the changes to TCU safety protocols after the Roadrunner shuttle shooting incident last fall.
And Cameron Hatcher will discuss whether or not President Trump's decision to not recognize Pride Month hurts the LGBTQ+ movement.
Welcome back. I'm Cameron Hatcher.
And I'm Ava Hepner. TCU says campus will be a little safer come this fall. The school changed its emergency protocol. It comes after a shooting on a shuttle bus forced the school into a lockdown last November. Some safety protocols failed. I have new details on what TCU did to make sure that doesn't happen again.
This is an emergency TCU alert. Armed person on campus. Seek safe shelter immediately. Repeat. Armed person on campus. Seek safe shelter immediately. More updates to follow as available.
One of the issues last November were the alerts in English. Some students and staff say that they didn't know what was going on. Administrators like Adrian Andrews say that they are going to resolve these issues.
No, we have not done that. That takes a big movement here on campus to make that happen. And here's the thing also, we could have 30 to 40 different languages we would do. Because it's not just now, the second most popular language obviously is Spanish, and people thought you would make it Spanish. What we're training our people to do now, if they are if they have a supervisor, to be able to speak to them in their native tongue, to give them enough information to let them know to either lock it down, to hide, or to do anything else. We will give them their individual instructions, and we're in the process of training them. We're going to do that training this summer as well.
TCU has also held classes that focus on not only what to do around an active shooter on campus, but situation awareness in general. The classes have gained more attention since the incident last year, going from 16 to 60 students attending each session. Classes made available are not the only resources to be informed about safety on campus. New apps FriendWatch and Frog Shield are expected to be available when classes resume in the fall. FriendWatch allows students to add friends to their call list while walking. If the student does not reach the destination in time, the friend can immediately get connected to the local police department. With the Frog Shield app, students can call the police department with the click of a button instead of having to go through 911. Not only will these apps work locally, but internationally. The apps will allow students who are studying abroad to notify their local police departments when they are stuck in a dangerous situation just with one click of a button. Ava Hepner, The Future 15.
Students looking to improve campus safety download the FriendWatch and Frog Shield apps this fall.
For the second year in a row, President Trump did not recognize Pride Month, something past presidents have typically done. Some members of the LGBTQ+ community are speaking out about it. Jada Handy is on TCU's campus with what they are saying.
During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump advocated to fight for the LGBT+ community, but 2018 now marks the second consecutive year President Trump has not acknowledged June as Pride Month. Pride Month was founded in 1999 by former President Bill Clinton to honor the Stonewall riots in New York City. During George W. Bush's presidency, he did not declare June as Pride Month. But former President Barack Obama reestablished the tradition. He recognized Pride Month early on in his first term. I spoke with Nino Testa, the Associate Director of Women and Gender Studies at TCU, to hear his thoughts.
And so I think there are a variety of perspectives on the matter. I think that there are folks who felt offended that the president wouldn't recognize Pride Month. I think there are other people who don't really care what Donald Trump thinks and are, in fact, perhaps happy to know that he's not trying to, utilize pride, which has so much meaning to so many people.
Testa also has concerns about some of President Trump's policies that impacts the LGBTQ+ community.
He, doesn't have a good track record on trans rights. What concerns me are his policies around immigration and, women's rights.
The president has tweeted the idea to ban transgender people from serving in the military. He also threatened to freeze a series of Obama-era policies that were meant to help the LGBTQ+ community. Even though President Trump has not recognized Pride Month this year, most states still choose to celebrate it. I'm Jada Handy with The Future 15.
Tarrant County Pride Week starts October 4th.
Coming up in entertainment, Melissa Brandy will talk about Kelly Clarkson's coaching success after her first season on The Voice.
And Amy Barrett will look at the long-awaited sequel that shattered box office records this weekend.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Amy Barrett.
And I am Melissa Brandy. Texas native Kelly Clarkson will try to bring home another win on the upcoming season of the NBC's The Voice. Clarkson made her debut on the show in the spring of 2018 and beat veteran coaches Blake Shannon, Adam Levine, and Alicia Keys. Elliot Amarazaria talked to two artists who competed on Team Kelly about what the experience was like.
Feel funky, feel good, gonna tell you I'm in love.
Alexa Capelli, an 18-year-old from Southern California, wowed the judges on season 14 of The Voice. Her range and presence landed her on Team Kelly, and she made it all the way to the live playoffs. She didn't make it to the finals, but Capelli says her time on The Voice was a constant learning experience on Team Kelly. Time with Clarkson was limited, but valuable and worth every moment.
She was just very uplifting and very motivating. As far as like those moments where she would talk to us, she just really just said like, it's okay to say no and just make sure that you know who you are as an artist before you tell anybody else, because you have to believe it first.
Alexa also learned from fellow teammate Bryn Cartelli. Cartelli went even further in the competition. She won the whole thing and became the youngest winner in the history of the show. She's just 15. She's busy touring right now and couldn't talk to us, but she sent us this statement. Kelly has helped me by being honest about what to expect in the music industry and by believing in me even when I didn't.
Bryn Cartelli, you did it! The youngest finalist in voice history wins it all.
I'm Elliot Amarasaria reporting for The Future 15.
Clarkson will return for her second season as judge when the show returns this fall on NBC.
One of the most highly anticipated films of the summer is out. The Incredibles 2 had a blockbuster opening weekend. It premiered at $183.2 million, setting a new record for an animated film. Families have been waiting 14 years for the sequel. Josh Hawkins talked to people at TCU about the hype.
So the ending of the last one, I want to know how that turns out.
I do. I'm very excited to see it.
I really liked the first one because it was a lot of action. So you were never bored through the whole movie. So
Pixar has a unique formula for successful sequels, waiting more than a decade between releases. The Incredible 2 broke box office records with its weekend release. It raked in $183.2 million. That's $50 million more than Finding Dory. I asked Professor Richard Allen from the Film, Television, and Digital Media Department at TCU about the hype.
Well, I think there's a lot of different appeals. I think the first one is probably familiarity, right? Was you start with Batman and Superman, and people's grandfathers know those characters. So you're going to see a hero who has a long history. So people like to go see a movie. They know the character. They know what to expect. And they have things they like about the character, the things they know about the character.
Allen thinks the reason people are attracted to the Incredible franchise is simple. People like superpowers and special effects. I'm Josh Hawkins reporting for the Future 15.
If you and your family are planning to watch the film, Disney has a warning. There are flashing lights in the movie that can cause epileptic seizures. Well, that's all the news we have for today.
For more stories from the Future 15, go to our website at tcujournalismworkshop.com. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.